Welcome back, friends. I can safely say that I have successfully taught myself how to read, pronounce and remember Hangul, Kana, Kanji and Hanzi, and I'm excited to show you the exact steps and materials to use if you're a beginner and some more useful resources I found along the way. Please remember that everyone's journey is different and small progress is still progress. I started to learn Korean right at the beginning of this year, and one of the videos that helped me the most was Miss Vicky's Korean alphabet explanation. Not only does she teach you readings, you'll know the correct stroke order as well as a way to remember them, like their resemblance to real objects. Other channels you can watch include Korean Class 101, where you can learn through bite-sized videos that go into a bit more depth of the writing system. And then there's 𝒹𝒾𝓈𝓸 Korean, which includes very similar teachings to Miss Vicky with some cool animation. Once you know how to read the characters, apps such as 𝓁𝓃 Korean will help you to recognize them quicker, especially when it comes to the compound characters. The free version won't let you change how you review what you've learned, but the default practice and test mode will still help you towards your reading goals. Unlike 𝓁𝓃 Korean, the app Learn Korean also includes final consonants, which is probably the hardest step when it comes to reading. And I found the writing section to be so much more challenging, as the proportions need to be correct too. Once you know how to read and recognize characters, the only book you'll ever need for pen to paper practice is the Korean Writing for All textbook. I was over the moon to start using it because not only is it cute, it helps you out with stroke count and you naturally begin to learn vocabulary, practice writing proverbs and even inspirational sentences. Even if you don't understand grammar yet, it's still great to improve your reading speed. However, for those who may not want to spend the money just yet, there's a free Hangul workbook along with many others via the free download section on the 𝒃𝓇𝒾𝓈𝓸 website. As you can see, it's probably the cutest digital workbook ever, where you can practice Hangul as well as Korean vocabulary and eventually sentences. Korean Class 101 also has a completely free digital Hangul workbook that I started with even before 𝒃𝓇𝒾𝓈𝓸's resources. While these two have a similar structure, it's nowhere near the same experience of writing pen to paper. Plus, it's an advantage to practice writing this way, as you can quickly forget to maintain your handwriting once you have an Apple Pencil. I did speak a lot about how I learned both Kana and Kanji in the last video, so I will be quite brief in this section. As you know, Dr. Moku is my absolute favourite app to learn hiragana and katakana that only have 46 characters each. Their mnemonics make them easy to learn and much quicker than you think. While it is £10 for the app, I was able to learn both writing systems in a week. Don't forget, they also have flashcards on Amazon and a YouTube channel if you prefer to learn in these ways. As I said in the Hangul section, I would definitely recommend buying a practice book. Of course, they don't teach you pronunciation, which is why I recommended apps first. But the good books encourage lots of vocabulary practice, quizzes, as well as some fun facts too. For example, this book taught me a lot of onomatopoeia, where there are over 1,000 in the Japanese language. Since I learned Kana a long time ago, those books are long gone and, like the katakana one I showed you, is very out of date. I have linked some more books where you can learn Kana in the description below. YouTube channels like Japanese Pod 101 will also teach you Kana in under an hour, and you can rewatch all of the animation and mnemonics to help you remember. Just a couple of days ago, I discovered that the Nintendo Switch also has a hiragana game for those of you who like to be productive gamers, I guess. The first step I took to approach properly reading Japanese scripts is this Teach Yourself book. While there are no audio guides that you can use to correct your pronunciation when reading, it was the best start I could give myself to understand the origins of Japanese and put my knowledge to the test with real-life examples and practice questions every chapter. Once you're ready to truly master kanji, the understanding through pictures and the Kanji Look and Learn workbook will become your best friend. For beginners, Kanji Look and Learn is perfect because it includes countless practice space, example sentences, and even a reading comprehension after every chapter. The Kanji Look and Learn textbook, on the other hand, is similar to Japanese Kanji Made Easy, but this one I happened to buy first to enable me to relate kanji to pictures. I did mention Skrita briefly in the last video, but it's really great not only to learn hiragana and katakana, but all 2,136 YoYo kanji, with features such as spaced repetition where you can track your progress, stroke order help, and even learn kanji from a specific textbook you're studying from, such as Genki or Mina no Nihongo.
While it's useful to know these rules, it means you would normally start in the very top left corner.
And of course, there's Learn Kanji, my go-to for all JLPT practice. While this is great, I am currently using Skrita to study kanji from Shokyu 1 and 2, as I have a review test in year 2 of my BA Japanese degree. For free practice workbooks, head to Japanese Pod for their beginner JLPT practice, which includes both N5 and N4 kanji. Because I already knew kanji, yes, Hanzi wasn't much of a shock. But for those who are new to this writing system, I highly recommend watching videos where radicals or origins of the Chinese script is explained to allow you to get used to things like stroke order and understand pictograms later on. Chineasy especially, as their flashcards are amazingly easy to understand. And Japanese Ammo with Misa also has many videos surrounding origins and basic Japanese kanji.
Means to stop.
Other than YouTube, YoYo Chinese was actually the first resource I used to start my learning back in September. The instructor in the basic Chinese conversational course explains pinyin very well, as tones are crucial in Mandarin.
Third tone changes to a second tone.
There's also a quiz and free PDFs on the vocab, tones, and sentences learned in the lesson. Coursera is a bit different, as the focus is on HSK1,
Chinese characters.
and there is a section for stroke order as well as a PDF workbook, but with an emphasis on writing characters instead of listing words learned like YoYo Chinese. My only 2 workbooks I have for Mandarin Chinese characters include the Collins workbook. Separated by categories such as people and travel, each character practice shows you the correct stroke order, example sentences, pinyin, and even a story and tips to help you remember it. The second one I purchased from AliExpress, and honestly I just use it for when I'm on the go, as it's much lighter than the Collins one. If you prefer to practice characters on the iPad, I recommend the first 100 Chinese characters. Also, Tuttle's Learning Chinese Characters is great for mnemonics, but practice space is scarce. Now onto my top 2 apps. I know you guys have seen Chinese Simple HSK1 before, and I've recently purchased the Pro version, but the free version is sufficient enough for you to learn all of the basics. In regards to pinyin, each tone is actually a certain colour on the app, so you don't have to worry as much when learning, and there are countless games to test your character knowledge and stories in both simplified and traditional Chinese. Back to the subject of origins, not only can you learn more than 5,000 Hanzi using Skrita, but you can take a specific character course to give you a proper head start to learning your dream language with detailed pictograms and even learning vocabulary alongside it. Do check out their courses on offer, including all HSK levels. Before we finish, and while I show you some free character PDF workbooks, I wanted to share my 3 super tips to remember what you learn. Firstly is I remember kanji because I study a bunch of them by common radical. Secondly, when you're learning characters, create your own stories. And thirdly, put them into context. Study a word or sentence to use them in. I really hope you found these tips and video helpful in some way, and thank you so much for watching until the end. Don't forget to say hi in the comments, and I'll see you next week.